as agents, there's always something breaking. There's always something going wrong. There's always some negative outcome that we weren't hoping for that happens, but we have to press on. And today I'm going to share with you the simple hack to make sure that you push forward and you overcome every single time and that you grow year after year after year without having setbacks. Let's go. What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 386 of the Massive Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Brohm, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've got to tell you a quick story. So, a couple months ago, I was talking with a leader within our industry, like one of the top, like one or two leaders within real estate, like no joke. And we were at a hockey game, and he's like, I just got to tell you, your podcast, it's got to be the number one podcast in the industry. And I was like, I don't know, that like there's some shows that that have been around longer and whatever. And he's like, no, he's like, I know that, but as far as impact and audience, he's like, I don't think you realize just how powerful your show is. And I was like, first off, thank you. That was incredible to think that this podcast could be the number one in the industry. But what's crazy about that is not our numbers necessarily, like the number of downloads or whatever. It's because of you. It's because of the audience. Because what this man told me is, after he had been on the show before, he said that the outreach that he had, the number of agents who reached out to him afterwards and connected with him and sent him messages, overwhelmed him. He said, and he's been on many podcasts, he hosts his own. He said he's never had that kind of response on a podcast ever. And he's been on some very large podcasts even outside of our industry. And I thought that was really cool. And I wanted to share that with you because I have felt for a long time that you guys kick ass, that this show has the best audience out there. And so if you're reaching out to guests that we have on the show and connecting with them and sending them a quick DM and saying, hey, I found you on the Massive Agent Podcast, or I appreciated this tip that you gave on that episode or whatever, thank you. It's making our guests feel welcome. It's definitely we are making an impact in this industry, and I want to thank you for that, because without you listening, it wouldn't happen. It would just be me in my office talking to myself and putting it on the internet, which plenty of people do. So thank you. Let's jump into it now, because we deal with a lot of crap as agents. In some ways, we're professional firefighters. There's always a fire to put out. There's always somebody upset, and we have to help them overcome that and talk them off the ledge, so to speak. There's stuff that, like, maybe we go do a listing presentation and all of a sudden we just find out we didn't get the listing. They went with somebody else. They went with an agent that promised them a higher price, and then of course we know how this plays out. 4 months later, you see that they finally reduced the price to what you said they should list it for, and then it finally sells. 100% of the time, that's how it happens. It's so frustrating. And if you've been in real estate for any period of time and you've lost listings, you see this happen. It's so frustrating. They could have just gotten the price if they had listened to you, or maybe, okay, I'm having a little moment of self-reflection here. That's also on us for not doing a better job persuading them and showing them and convincing them that your pricing was the most accurate and why, to help them overcome whatever, high expectations they had for selling their house because of Zillow, or because, well, the neighbor down the street sold for this much, so we should too, like that kind of thing. That's on us. Anyhow, there's a hack, that there's a skill, a talent that you can develop to make sure that as shit goes wrong, as stuff happens that is not awesome, as you find out your cousin didn't hire you and they hired someone else and it stings, or you get your very first listing and it sits on the market and doesn't sell. There's so many things that happen that could crush us, that really mess with the mind of an agent. They hurt our confidence. They can hurt our reputation, or at least that's our worry. That's our concern, right? There's all this stuff that can happen, but there's a mindset hack that you can develop to overcome anything and everything. Hear me out. Okay. I'm going to kind of sum it up now, and then I'm going to break this down. I'm scrolling my notes here. I got to get this right. So, for example, if you've been in real estate for any period of time, you've had this. Your best friend just bought a house with a different agent. It stings. It hurts. You spend 3 months showing buyers some houses, and then they just ghost. They just disappear. Never hear from them again. Had that happen. No reply, no explanation. They just vanish. Then this also happens. Then you find out that their cousin just got their license, and they have a new house or a new townhouse or whatever. You finally get a listing. It doesn't sell. Your brokerage promised you leads. There are no leads. They never came. Your team member leaves and they bring some deals with them. You record a great video and it frickin' flops. The comments are brutal. It doesn't perform well. You spent hours on that video. You thought it was going to go viral and it didn't. You have a deal under contract and then the buyer loses their financing. Your seller refused to clean the house before the showings. The house doesn't sell. Frustrating. You finally get some traction on social and then someone hacks your account. You show up to a listing presentation ready to crush it, and all they want to do is compare your price with someone else's. They don't want to hear your spiel. How much? So and so said they'll do it for 1.5%. What will you do it for? That stuff happens all the time. It happens all the time. But the best agents, the ones who really win long term, survive all of that. And how do they survive all of that? You develop an attitude. You develop a mindset that, so what? Now, I know that some of you who maybe are in this right now are dealing with some shit, that you may feel like I'm stepping on your toes or that I'm minimizing what's going on. I'm actually not. Hear me out. No one is coming to save you. That's one of my favorite quotes of all time. And it's deeply inspiring to me when I realize that I'm in control of everything. If you believe that a brokerage change is going to be the thing that makes your business explode, you're giving way too much power to someone else, something else. If you're putting all of your, like, if your best friend decided to sell their house with a different agent and you let it ruin your entire week, or hopefully you didn't let it ruin your friendship, which happens all the damn time. It's funny to me when, as agents, someone, I'm trying to think of how to word this so that I'm not super just big asshole about it. Okay. You find out that one of your good friends listed with somebody else, or they hired someone else to help them buy a house. And if you throw a hissy fit over that and act like a child and act entitled to that business, all you're doing is just showing them they made the right choice. That you just proved to them they dodged a bullet by not hiring you. You realize that? It's always boggled my mind when agents throw tantrums when your aunt doesn't list with you. You don't own their business. You should have done a better job of earning it. But even still, even if you're the best agent on the planet, some people just don't want to mix business with family. And you have to respect that. It is what it is. And if you throw a tantrum, you validate why they didn't hire you in the first place. Just a little thought. So by developing this concept, this idea, this belief that no one's coming to save you, it's all on you, that means you're in full control. So if you don't get hired by your best friend, you could either blame them and throw a hissy fit for a week and let it ruin your entire week, or you can internalize it and say, what could I have done better? What can I do better next time to make sure that they want to hire me? And then you work on those things and improve. Like that's the right way to do it. Because then instead of blaming them, calling them assholes, you look inside and say, you know what could I do better? You take full responsibility. I see far too many agents that let little things derail all their progress. You build a website and something happens. Okay, here's an example. You pay $3,000 to a web designer to build out a website, and they start doing it and it sucks, and then they just ghost. That happened to me personally, actually. I think it was like $5,000 that they built out a website. It sucked. Wasn't what they promised. Wasn't what it should have been. And then they just disappear. And no one else, that's no one else's problem. And in fact, if you really look at it, if you really zoom out, that's such an insignificant problem. It's annoying, it's frustrating, it sucks that it happened, but what? Like, is the world supposed to stop? Do your bills just give you an extra week to pay while you grieve? No, the world keeps spinning. Everyone else is doing their stuff as they should. You've got to shake it off quickly. You have to understand that you have full responsibility for everything. No one's coming to save you. This mentality, it's why I believe in this is why I own guns, for example, because if I need to call 911, I don't want to be in a situation where I cannot protect myself and I have to rely on calling 911 and hoping someone gets to me in time to save me versus me being able to protect myself. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a mentality that I'm the one. No one's coming to save me here. And in business, when shit goes wrong, which it will, you have to give yourself 5 minutes. Okay. Whenever something goes wrong, when you get a bad outcome, when you get fired, you didn't get the listing, that appraisal came in $50,000 low and it screws the whole thing, or the inspector ruins the whole thing, or the buyer decides to get to finance a new car a week before closing and all of a sudden they can't get their financing. Be upset for 5 minutes. Allow yourself 5 minutes. Throw a little mental hissy fit, even scream if you need to. Like do it, go like hit the wall, punch a punching bag, whatever, for 5 minutes. Get it out of your system. And then get right back to it, because the world does not stop when shit happens to you. You should not expect that everybody else needs to push pause on whatever they're doing, whatever their priorities are, whatever is happening in their lives, just because you had something go wrong in yours. I see agents, and I know that I'm mixing a couple different concepts here, but I think it's all under the same umbrella. I see agents who are struggling in business and they think that the solution lies outside of them. Oh, if I just switch to this brokerage, then I'll be like, listings will start raining from the sky. I don't know. This brokerage will be the answer, or this team has promised me a bunch of leads, so that's what I need. But spoiler alert, if you are not doing the work, if you are not doing the actions on a consistent, repeated basis to get business, if you're not doing the actions that will get you business, no matter where you go, that will still be true. Like you still have those actions to do. There are still certain actions that are required of you on a consistent basis in order to bring business to you. So no matter who your brokerage is, that's still going to be true. The brokerage changing does not all of a sudden mean, oh, here you go, you get a bunch of business handed to you. So in the moment when shit goes wrong, what do? I say you give yourself 5 minutes. Have a little 5-minute pity party, be pissed, vent, say some stuff that if you were to say to someone's face, you regret. Say that shit out loud if you need to. Record yourself saying it just to get it out, and then delete it afterwards. Go scream in your basement, scream into a pillow, go sit in your car and scream, whatever you need to do. Let that frustration and anger out, and then get back to it, because no one else is going to build your business for you. No one else is going to do the work that you need to do. No one else is going to record the content that you need to post to get the business you need. No one else is going to return the phone calls. It's all on you. But how amazingly freeing is that, knowing that you don't have to rely on someone else to do that stuff? So when you succeed, that's 100% on you. But if you fail, it's also 100% on you. I love that. I see that as motivating and inspiring, that there's no one holding me back from hitting my goals except for me and my mindset and my thoughts and my actions. So what separates the best agents, those that are selling the most and doing the most, I promise you, they are having more problems than you. They have more of them faster. Like they just get over them faster. Like maybe you have a family member who something happens to them, like they get a speeding ticket and they just go off the deep end and it ruins their whole week. And if it happens to you, you get a speeding ticket, you forget about it an hour later. It's just nothing, right? There's certain there's certain people who are smaller than their problems, and then there's others, hopefully you, who are bigger than their problems. And you've got to become a bigger person than those little issues. And those who are selling the most homes in your market, they've just become bigger than all the problems. The same shit happens to them. It happens a lot more often because they're just taking so much action and talking to so many more people. It's happening more often to them that it becomes less of a big deal. They're just little teeny speed bumps instead of roadblocks. So how fast can you emotionally recover after you have a deal fall out because a buyer lost their financing? Or you go show up to the final walkthrough and the seller's crap is still everywhere and the buyer's moving truck is about to pull up behind you. Ever had that happen? That's always fun. That's always fun. Well, stuff like that's going to happen. So how do you deal with it? How fast can you emotionally recover? How fast do you get into solutions mode? How fast can you, just realize, hey, this is business. And I want to reframe something for you before we wrap this up. If these problems and issues are happening to you more often, I would say that's because you are taking more action and you are doing more. If none of this stuff is happening to you, you are not taking action, you are standing still. So when this shit goes wrong, which it will, it's because you are moving and you're growing and taking action and kicking ass. It doesn't mean the opposite. So when you're sitting in that situation, a deal just fell through, or you just spent $1,000 producing some video and it flops and gets 75 views, or you just joined a team, they promised you a bunch of stuff and you find out within a week they're not going to give it to you and you're pissed. What do? Well, what you need to ask yourself, what would a top 1% agent do in this situation? What would a top 1% agent do right now in the same scenario? And then do that. Just by thinking of, how would your better self, or how would this person who you're trying to get to, how would they do it? And then just acting like them, you realize you become them. How incredible. So what inspired this episode was we had a situation with some agents. One of them, one of them lied about some stuff. They were manipulative. They were deceitful. They did some stuff that was not good, and kind of screwed over some people that I love, and that I'm connected to. And we sat there and we're like, okay, it is what it is. On to the next one. And I recognized how those of us involved, how quickly we got past it, even though we're still bugged, right? We vented. Trust me, we vented for a few minutes. But how quickly we were like, all right, that's it. Tie the bow on that one, close the book, on to the next one. And stuff like that's going to happen again and again and again. The faster you just start moving and getting past these little teeny things, the smaller they become. The more resilient you become, the more powerful you become, the bigger you become, and your problems just get small. So pull up your freaking big boy pants. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know what else to say to wrap this episode up, but some of you just need to grow some balls. Some of you need to grow a pair and realize that this shit happens. This shit happens to those who are taking action. If you were just standing on the sidelines, you had no clients, you had no business, you'd have no problems, except for financial ones, of course. It's just the cost of doing business. The more successful you become, the more problems you have, the more fires there are to put out. But you become bigger than them and they become like little flies. I hope this reached whoever it needed to reach. Thank you for listening. Before we wrap it up, keeping current matters. I don't know why in 2025, with all the uncertainty, the tariffs, the interest rates, the Fed, market demand, buyer's market, seller's market, all this stuff happening. It seems like all this stuff's happening at once. There's so much uncertainty and it changes month to month. Why would you not want a team of experts in your pocket? Keeping current matters, I believe, is one of the best tools you could have to be the best advisor, to be a better advisor to your buyers and sellers. So be the advisor your clients trust with KCM. They give you easy to understand market insights, ready to share graphics, scripts to keep you looking like a pro, and you can try it for free at trykcm.com/BAM. And with BAMX, now that they're on the school platform, level up your business with BAMX. Use their courses, their masterminds, their referral network, and the network of ambitious agents ready to push you higher. Join today at nowbam.com or go to massiveagentsociety.com/BAMX and check them out. Thank you so much for listening. Pull up your big boy pants. Get over yourself. Get over the fact that some shit went wrong. You lost a deal. It's not going to be the last time. That's business. That's what it's like in this game. On to the next one. And sometimes the one you lose was actually a blessing in disguise. Have a great weekend.